apple. Apple ranking.
Um,
Apple tier list.
Golden Delicious was always my favorite.
What?
But I like it. I've grown more fond of a tart, like a Granny Smith.
Yeah.
I like a Granny Smith. Honey Crisp is very good.
Yeah.
Tell you what I don't like. I don't like Jonathan's, and I don't like Red Delicious.
I hate Jonathan's.
I hate
and
Johnny's.
Yeah.
Whew.
Any of those.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. I was a Granny Smith guy. I think I still am. I like that. I like that sourness.
I want a green apple.
Green apples are the best.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, I've started to get into Honey Crisp. I had a Fuji apple, and I was like, okay, this is good. I like this.
Yeah. Turns out, fruit, pretty good.
Fruit ain't bad. Yeah. Vegetables, however, fuck them.
I made some really good broccolini tonight.
Yeah.
And it's making me.
Let's just say that it's good that there is noise cancellation in Discord.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Bobby may look like he's being silent whenever
just deadly.
me and Chase are talking.
Oh yeah, it's deadly. It's
deadly.
All right.
Hey, you stumbled into the podcast that we call the Casual Hour. It's ostensibly about video games, but mostly about apples and green apple splatters. I'm Bobby. That's Chase. Hello, Chase.
Hello.
And that's Johnny. Hi, Johnny.
Hi.
We talk about video games and we stream video games. We do quick looks. We do all kinds of fun stuff over here. And tonight was supposed to be a deep dive. So if you came here looking for a deep dive, apologies, because you keep looking, first of all, but I procrastinated, which I do. And I was like, oh, I got time to do this. I had an idea. I didn't have the confidence with the idea. So we're going to talk about
you say you procrastinated, and you procrastinating is just putting up our quick looks, editing a bunch of stuff. Like there is no procrastination. It is you just were not able to get around to it.
In all fairness,
by producing all this content. Oh, and also I started a new job a couple weeks ago that is keeping me very busy.
In all fairness, though,
and I'm married and I have to shut up. Life happens.
I had time that I was like, okay, you're gonna put this together. You can do it. And then I was like, I really want to beat Horizon, and I did. I beat. Mm-hmm. So we sacrificed a deep dive for credits, and I feel good about that to a degree. But tonight we're going to tell you about a few things. We've got a mystery game we're going to talk through. We got a hot take, very hot, piping hot take on Tunic. We've got a couple other little fun games to go over and some news. So stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Make yourself at home, get cozy, grab a drink, grab an apple, because they're good for you. And listen to this mystery game unravel from your friend and mine, the gamer on the Go Chase.
The mystery game is not Unravel. I did not play with Yarny.
That
was my guess.
That was my guess. I thought I had all. I've been working so hard to cue this up.
Was it Unraveled 2?
It was not. It was also.
Damn it!
It was Viva Pinata.
Ooh, that would be a lot of fun. But
I never played Viva Pinata, and I feel like I missed out on something really special.
It was cool.
Maybe we can do a stream.
I didn't play enough of it, but it was cool. No, I mean, it's no mystery. I've been playing Destiny 2, Triangle Strategy, and Super Robot Wars 30. Like those are just the games I play right now. What is the mystery? And I told Johnny I was going to do this, but I guess he forgot. I found a bunch of my old student newspaper clippings when I wrote stuff as a video game reviewer. And I thought it'd be fun to go back through some of these. I'm not going to read them; they're fucking terrible. But I just want to. I want to see how if you guys can guess what I gave games and whether I'd give these games the same scores now that I did then. How does that sound? It's just like a little quick
Chase. I know what sort of scale you use, but you should let Bobby know how many points we're working with or stars.
It is a 5-point scale. It is a 5-point scale. All right. How about this? Gears of War 2.
Got a 3.5.
Out of 5?
Yep.
I gave it 4.
I gave it a 5 out of 5. Gears of War 2 upstages its predecessor is the headline. I didn't get to make the headlines.
I forget that you like Gears of War. It just seems like something that you would very much not like.
And I love Gears of War 2. I don't know if I'd still give it a 5, but I love that horde mode. It's still my favorite horde mode of all the Gears games.
It's so good.
And you know, Marcus keeps the do-rag on, so you know, good on him. Probably not a 5.
What's that do-rag smell like by the end of that campaign?
Rough, I imagine.
Beans. I'm thinking about beans.
New DS game makes almost anything possible. That's the headline for this review of Scribblenauts. What do you think I gave
You gave that a 5.
Johnny?
3 out of 5.
4.5 out of 5. I don't think I agree with that. It's cool, but it's not that cool.
It was at the time though.
At the time, the first one especially, it was like, holy shit, this is amazing. This is legitimately cool that you can really pretty much type in anything you want. It's almost there. All right, let's see. Johnny knows this one because this is the one that prompted it. But Bobby, I'll let you guess. Fallout 3. Fallout 3. This was an early one we did.
Fallout 3.
What do you think? Yeah, a Bethesda game. You know how I feel about Bethesda now.
You gave it a 4.1.
No. Sorry, there's only half points. So,
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I gave this a 2.
Wow,
2 out of 5. Even then, I knew. This is a bad game, bad company.
The contrarian started early.
That's all right. Chrono Trigger. This is the DS version.
You would probably find something that you didn't care for and the way it played, but the story would carry a higher. I would say you gave it a 4. Chat says 3 out of 5. I think a 4 out of 5.
I ended up giving this one a 5.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. I mean, Chrono Trigger is great, but.
Oh, God. All right, I don't want to read all of this, but let me read this part. When someone tells you that something is the greatest, your first reaction is to be skeptical and inform him or her of something even better. Wow, that does sound like me, doesn't it? When someone says gummy bears are the greatest candy ever, you can tell them no, Skittles are much better. I don't know who the fuck wrote this.
Skittles are not better than gummy bears. Why would you put something wrong like that?
I mean, Skittles are legitimately better than anyway, doesn't matter. GTA 4 The Lost and Damned DLC
2.
Okay.
Well, no, hang on.
Yeah,
this
is the biker one.
I think Ballad of Gay Tony was supposed to be the really good one.
That's correct, but that expansion didn't exist at this point.
I'm guessing a 2 for you on this one.
3.5.
I gave this a 4.5.
Jesus Christ.
Seems high. That seems really high. I don't think I'd do that. Okay. All right. I'm not going to go through all of these, but let me show you the thing that pissed me off the most. Only I would care about this, and only I would notice this. But I did a review of Spore, the Will Wright game.
Oh, God.
And it had a headline of Spore fails to evolve. And I'm like, okay, that's a good headline. I like that. That's funny. Much later, I would do a review of Pokemon Platinum version. That's what they came up with the headline. And like, that's the same headline.
You recycled your headline?
No, I didn't. Copy editors wrote that. That's the whole point of the paper. Like, they wouldn't let me write my own headlines. So they was like, wait, you can't write that. I've already written a review with that as the headline. That makes me look stupid, but nobody's fucking reading me. Why would they care?
Your one trick pony over there.
What do you think I gave Spore, and what do you think I gave Pokemon Platinum?
Spore, I bet you gave it 2 out of 5.
Pokemon 5 out of 5.
It says failed to evolve.
Yeah, it's a bad headline.
Doesn't matter. It's Pokemon.
You're right. It doesn't matter. It's Pokemon. Spore got a 3. Pokemon got a 3.5. Bobby, you like Star Wars. What do you think I gave Star Wars: The Force Unleashed?
A 1.
You gave it a 3. It was fine.
That's generous for a series that you hate.
I like Star Wars and the what is it called? Force Unleashed. I guess that is a series. They made a second one.
They did.
What do you think I gave Brutal Legend?
Oh man, you reviewed Brutal Legend.
I reviewed Brutal Legend. I remember I made a bet with a friend that Brutal Legend would outsell Uncharted 2. I think those came out about the same time. And my reasoning was it's multi-platform. This is easy. It's going to totally outsell Uncharted. I did not win that bet. I lost that bet by a fair margin.
You did.
Yeah.
I bet you gave it a 3.5.
Gave it a 4.5.
4.
I like Brutal Legend. All right. We'll end it with this. I'm not going to go through all of these. I gave Fable 2 a 4 out of 5. That's okay. I gave Fable 2 Not Whole Island, the expansion, also a 4 out of 5. All right. Top 10 DS games ever. This was written in February of 2009, so the DS was still out. There were still DS games coming out.
Wow. That was a couple of years before the 3DS.
Thanks, Colin. Bit loud. Jeez. All right, let me go down this top 10 list, which is wild. Number 1 is Mario Kart DS. I'm fine with that. That's probably not my number 1. It's definitely not my number 1, but I'm fine with it. Space Invaders Extreme, which that's nuts. That's nuts that's number 2. I like that game, but it's nuts. Metroid Prime Hunters, which I don't know why I would ever give a Metroid game something that high. I like Hunters, but that's wrong. Professor Layton: The Curious Village, New Super Mario Brothers. Here we go. Advance Wars, Days of Ruin, or Advance Wars Dual Strike. I couldn't give it both. Meteos, Chrono Trigger, Trauma Center, Under the Knife. Jesus. That's a hell of a game. And then the Phoenix Wright Apollo Justice Ace Attorney series, which is incredible in that I have not really played that series all that well or all that much.
You just handing out awards willy-nilly.
Yeah, seriously.
I think that was more of like knowing my audience and going I bet people would like this. I bet people would like this.
So you sacrificed your journalistic integrity to please your audience.
Well,
what was the name of your newspaper? Because I just call it the Chase Chronicle.
It was called the Man Eater. We were the Tigers, Missouri Tigers. So the Man Eater student newspaper was our thing. I went on to become the editor, the arts editor of that newspaper. And I didn't start the podcast there, but I would say I popularized it. And then when the person we did an arts podcast, and it was like, oh, each segment will get 5 minutes. You'll do 5 minutes for music, 5 minutes for movies, 5 minutes for fashion, and then you know what? We'll end it with like 5 minutes of video games. Sure, the media.
Chase. Did you just? How many people did you piss off?
We'd bring on different people each episode to just talk about what was big there, and then as you might guess, we'd have 5 minutes of movies, 5 minutes of music, 5 minutes of fashion, and then maybe 15 minutes of video games, then maybe 20 minutes of video games, and then when I had to turn over the editorship to the next person in line, they never invited me back to the podcast. And they promptly changed the podcast rules, and at that point, I started my own podcast, and that went much better. And all those episodes are thankfully dead and buried. You cannot find them anywhere anymore. So yeah, I've been doing podcasting for a long time. Yes. What? You don't find him. You don't even know what the name of the podcast was. Yeah, why would I do that? Why would I tell you? Why would I tell you that information so you could look that up?
I bet we could find a way.
Yeah, we can probably find this if we tried.
I actually don't think it's around anymore. I'll look it up and just see.
I bet there's a message board or something weird somewhere that we could find this information.
Yeah, it's got to be out there somewhere, right?
I don't know. I know the website we had it on is gone. No, in
while
fact,
you're looking it up,
the top result is not even my podcast. So somebody else had the name of the podcast that I used to do. It was called the World 8 Podcast. I feel okay saying that. World 8, like Mario.
that was your podcast, not the Maneater.
That was my podcast. Yeah. I doubt any of those Maneater podcasts are still up either. I bet they've killed those servers or thrown that shit away to bring up other stuff. But yeah, we had the World 8 podcast that we did after me and the other writers who did the video game stuff were like, fuck that. We don't need the paper to make a video game podcast. We can just do our own thing with strippers and blackjack. In fact, forget the podcast. Yeah. And yeah, we did that for quite a bit, and then those guys moved to different parts of the country, which made it really hard to schedule anything. So I kind of said, well, screw that, I'll make my own podcast. And that's where yeah, and that's where Gamers on the Go came from, and I've been doing that ever since. And then I do this rinky-dink thing with you guys every week. But
yeah.
So yeah, I haven't really been playing anything new, but yeah, I thought that was kind of a fun thing. Yeah. I still have all those old clippings. There are some other fun ones in there. Yeah,
Ace,
very neat,
very cool.
The one of the primary reasons I invited you to come on this podcast when we started it is because you worked with my wife, when she met you, she's like, "Oh yeah, this guy Chase started. He has a podcast. Isn't that crazy?" And it's about video games. It's like, okay. And so, had you not started Gamers on the Go all those years back?
Sure, I wouldn't.
You may not be a member of the casual crew.
You know, it's honestly probably true in more ways than one. Like, I don't think I probably still would have gotten that job without that podcast. But the podcast was something I put in my resume and in my portfolio of like, hey, I designed the stuff about this. Here's the social media posts that I've made with this, and that weirdly impressed a lot of people. I don't think anyone listened to a single episode. If they did, I would not have been hired anywhere. But I think just the idea, like, oh, this guy had the initiative to start something like this, and he did it all himself. That's the reason I got a couple of different jobs. I would think. So yeah, nice. I probably wouldn't have even met your wife or had that job if I didn't have that podcast coming.
It's a crazy world.
And I'm sure Bobby wouldn't have gotten his new job if he didn't put down the casual hour and all the great stuff.
This is my job,
that, right?
As far as they're concerned.
True. It's true.
Chase, you've been playing the normal ones. You took us through a little history, an oral history of your video game review at the Maneater, and we say thank you.
Hey, whoa, Colin. Let's not. That's not my podcast. That is my portfolio. But well done finding stuff. You're right. Here, you know what? It's what's keeping my computer alive. But I got some fucking Boggle right here for you. I'll take you down right now.
God.
Who's better at Boggle? You or Peggy Hill?
Let's put the clown back in the box here.
Peggy Hill would taste my wrath. I'll tell you what. What?
Speaking of wrath, I have been fighting some in a little pocket game called Kaiju. And
I like the sound of this.
This game is pretty fucking cool. So I'm playing this on iOS, and it is a strategy puzzle game that is a 15 by 15 grid of Connect 3 or Match 3 that evolves into a type. And there is 8. So there's a global threat of all these kaiju that are attacking and doing things, and you have to go to each city and protect the city from this. And in doing so, you are trying to build up an infrastructure of buildings, people for health, and then vehicles for attack. And so they'll put a single person, a single like simple plane, and then like a skyscraper. And you have a limited time during the deploy phase to try and group these into clusters of 3 or more. And when you do that, one person becomes 2 people, 1 skyscraper, 2, so on and so forth. And you can go all the way up to a level 4. And then there's like a special attack that will do. Each one of the monsters that you're fighting will have a weakness that you can uncover the more that you play through these levels. And then you can unlock 8 special weapons. So during your deploy phase, you can choose which one to put out, and you'll figure out like, oh, this monster has a weakness to this type of special weapon, and it'll put
This
one
game
of
is
those.
just called Kaiju.
That's it.
I'm having a hard time finding it.
Yeah, can you link that
I'll
somewhere? That sounds fun.
It's
I mean,
got
I played
really,
13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, but I don't think that's what you're talking about.
It's got a really cool look to it. Also, I've got the look set to rotate through different color schemes, but you can set one that you like. It's got a fun soundtrack to it as well. But it's neat, man. I've been playing through this most evenings before bed, just kind of kicking back and trying to see if I can unlock these different things for each one of the monsters that you're fighting. It doesn't have the polish of a game like Threes or like something like that. It feels very much like an independent game in that sense, but I like the concept.
I do like this art. Like this art. This is good.
It's got a really good look to it. Each one of the levels starts with a news reporter talking about it, and then the monsters all have a really good look to them as well. It's a cool little game. I saw it had some high reviews, and I like the look of it. Caught my eye, and I've been playing that game. I thought I'd let you two in on it. It's pretty damn neat.
Kaiju Attack is what it's called.
Kaiju Attack.
Nice.
And then I picked up another game the other day. I'd seen some screenshots of this, and I knew it was going to be hitting early access. And you all know how I love me some early access stuff.
Yeah. Wasn't this in some sort of indie showcase somewhere?
Potentially. So this is a
I've heard the name. Yeah.
It's got a really cool look to it. It's a black and white. I mean, I think it could get confused with Death's Door a little bit. You are playing as the Grim Reaper in this game, and it is a run-based game, and you are the infrastructure of running death is very much in the same tone as what Death's Door is.
Did you say the name yet?
Have a nice death.
Yeah, okay. I think Johnny, you might be familiar with this because I think Matt Rory played it on a Giant Bomb on Professional Friday.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was gonna say I know I've heard
it's kind of a Hollow Knight look to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's got a really cool look to it, and it definitely has a little bit of a challenge when you get into it. It's not like a Souls-esque in that. I mean, it claims to have a little bit of Souls inspiration to it, but it's not nearly like that. You're not managing a stamina bar.
Well, you like Souls games now.
We like a Souls game.
It's your favorite genre.
It's one of my... I've tried new things. I have evolved. I have a growth mindset, Chase. But this one's pretty cool. You are picking up different weapon types that you can slot into different face buttons, and there is a super attack that you can build up, and there's a currency that you can get to buy new shit back whenever you start over. It's only $15, and I think that if you are into things like you mentioned Hollow Knight, I would say oh my god, why is the name slipping to me? Not Slay the Spire, Dead Cells. Dead Cells, like it feels a lot like one of those as far as like the runs go and what you would be up against. I've fought the first boss of clearing the world I have not beat, but I found 2 sub bosses and I've beaten both of them now. It is some dark humor for sure. Like there's going to be some things in there that might be triggering for people when it comes to death and types of death. So just keep that in mind. But I think it's a really cool game. I really dig how it feels and how it plays. Like for being the first release in early access, it feels incredibly polished. And if you are looking for a game that you can pick up and do some quick runs with in between the waves of all the other games, I think that's a really good palate cleanser of a video game to pick up right now.
Put it on my wish list.
Yeah. So have a nice death. I've got a few runs in. I've probably put about like 45 minutes to an hour in it so far. It just came out this week, and I'm enjoying that quite a bit. And then today, to date the episode here, it's Wednesday, March 16th. A game that I have been very curious about for some time finally launched, and that game is Tunic, the adorable little fox that is just tugging on every one of my Zelda-shaped heartstrings it can. It is not hiding any of its inspirations whatsoever.
No, it's
But
not at all.
but I don't have a ton of time in with this.
Is it though? Because all I keep hearing is that this game has like a bunch of it's not what it appears at first blush. Like, yes, it looks like a little isometric Zelda game, but I keep hearing people say Fez.
That's exactly the word I was going to bring up tonight.
Crazy little puzzle stuff, like hidden stuff within the game. So
yeah,
it does seem like it's kind of hiding some of its influences.
It definitely, like, Fez is a game I kept thinking about playing it, and I've been seeing a lot of tweets of people like, hey, this is a throwback to writing notes inside the instruction manual type video game from back in the day. The other thing that, like, I had, and Johnny, chime in here because I know that you're playing this too.
Yeah.
I had this overwhelming sense of, there's been a lot of people who have tried to reach back and, crib that original feeling of like old school NES games. And like we've talked about it. It sometimes works. This is, I think, one of the absolute best modern takes on a classic cartridge-based video game. Like it
has also big Link to the Past vibes. You mentioned Fez, and I hate to be this person. Huge Dark Souls. Like you're the thing that you're doing when you start the game is ringing 2 bells, which is literally the thing that you do in the beginning of Dark Souls.
You're right, but I hate you.
Yeah.
You're lighting fires, and if you die, you lose all of your runes that you've picked up, or whatever they're gold, whatever they're called. If you go back to where you fell, you can retrieve them. You're locking on enemies when you're attacking them, and it's just, you can tell it's a love letter to all the games that the people that made this, love and draw inspiration from.
Also, I mean, it's fucking gorgeous. I mean, it is such a beautiful game to look at, and the soundtrack is so good. The soundtrack is honestly like what triggered the Fez response from me first, because when you wake up for the very first time in the game, I'm like, this music doesn't match what I would expect from like a Zelda game. And it's kind of this, it reminded me of Fez, not directly, but like that's where that first like weird sensation came from.
Like it's wearing its influences on its sleeve, but it also feels like it's its own thing. You're still playing as this cute little fox, and it's still like, it's very, very early for me. Like I just found my sword. I haven't found a shield yet.
I got the sword as well.
But yeah, I mean you're chopping tall grass and bushes to unlock paths to places that you couldn't get. Like it immediately hits you with secrets and like letting you know, like, hey, this world is worth exploring that we're putting you in right now, like from the get-go. And I really, really like that when games do that. Like they're not screaming at you like, hey, look over here. It's more, if you're paying attention to the angles and the way that things look in the room. Like I found a treasure chest because I noticed that like one little corner of it was poking out in the top right hand corner of the screen, and I found places like that you could walk underneath, and it led to a room with another treasure chest. And I adore when games do that, when they invite you to explore, and you are rewarded by.
This is a game that could have easily leaned heavy into a, hey, you should go crawl through this hole and go into that corridor. Like it could have forced you to, like, it could have forced your hand a lot more. And it does at the very beginning teach you like, hey, these things you can't get over right now, but it's a bush. And like, again, if you've played a Zelda game, like you'll eventually be able to cut the bush. Like,
there's enough, stuff like that. Also, I really like the way that it did the instruction manual.
Oh my god, dude! I cannot wait to show that to Chase. It's so fucking good.
I've seen some images.
Yeah. So as you're exploring this opening area, you're finding little pieces of paper, and it's adding to this pamphlet almost. It's almost like an instruction booklet you get in a
Yes.
copy of Link to the
Yes.
Past. You know,
Like a beginner's notebooks, one might
Yeah.
say.
yeah,
Ooh.
and you open it and you flip in the pages, and you know there's
The
multiple inside. You
illustrations.
flip it over to the back. Yeah, the illustrations are gorgeous.
So I played the demo or like
Demo
some
came out.
vertical
Yeah, demo came out
a
last year,
while ago,
last
like
summer,
yeah.
I think.
and I love the way it looks. I love the way it sounds. I don't much like the way it plays, but and that's going to be the bummer for me. I think that's going to keep me from playing this one. But I don't remember that instruction booklet thing being in the demo from last year. That must
wasn't.
be either something they were holding back or something that is wholly new from then.
I don't want this to come across in a bad way. I really don't. But like after playing the demo and even seeing some of the stuff for the game, my mind's like, oh, it's just going to be a cheap Zelda. Like that's exactly what I was thinking. Like
I did not come away super impressed from that demo when I played it last year. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I might get this.
but you know,
Yeah,
like
the full game has made a much stronger impression on me from
that's
the brief amount that I played.
yeah. I mean, like I'm sitting here thinking like this game is not generic in the slightest. Like it's really doing some cool things, and it could have some pretty long legs on it. And I've been very surprised because I would say that like my excitement has been up there because again, like I'm just a Zelda fanboy and I want to see all that stuff. But then it kind of tempered a little bit after the demo. I'm like, oh, you know, like it is because I kept thinking about Oceanhorn. Do you remember that game that came out? It was on.
It was
Vaguely.
yeah, it was like Wind Waker, except
Yeah, it was just a
Wind
very
Waker.
like generic take on the Zelda. Not to diminish the game, but I was like, oh, that's gonna be like an Oceanhorn, you know, like a wannabe Zelda. And I think that like all these things, like these little mysteries and these strings that it's like asking you to pull, are so fascinating. And the sense of exploration for a game that is a fixed isometric view. To
Mhm.
Johnny's point, like there's a lot of little hidden things there, and like again, that might be going back to Fez also, and like Fez completely changed your perspective in the game, but this is doing some very interesting things at an early stage in the game that I feel are only going to get bigger and bolder
Yeah.
and more interesting.
And it's I maybe you eventually get something that translates it for you, but
Yeah.
most of the things that you like, all the signage and things in the world are written in this in just like inscrutable language. Um, and there's even options. It's like okay or no,
Yeah.
and like
That part's in
okay,
English at least.
I'll hit okay and see what happens.
Yeah.
Um,
And I imagine, much like Fez, that's going to be something that people crowdsource and break down and figure out
and
the
figure out what the
alphabet
meaning
for that
is
kind of thing.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read an article. This is like probably the last thing I'll call out. I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about it has reinvigorated their love for the strategy guide, and I thought that was a really cool thing because, I mean, I got a couple on the shelf back here, but in the age of the internet, like usually I've just started collecting these for games that it's like I really like this game. I want to have everything about the game around it. But the idea of having a strategy guide or at least a notebook, and I know that people talked about with Elden Ring recently doing the same thing, and I think that's really cool. Like some people were giving people shit about not having tutorialization or instructions, but I think it's neat when you get to jot down your own little notes and reminders in games. I think that's really cool. And
Yeah, I especially like it when it's in the game itself. Like I was never the guy who was playing Metroid on the NES and making the map, or the same for Zelda. Wasn't the one doing the graph paper. That just wasn't me. And while I don't like the Etrian Odyssey series for many other reasons, one of the things I really do like is the way that it auto maps things for you. And so as you're going around, you see that you're completing a map. Actually, the Final Fantasy remake games on the DS, 3 and 4. Those games also, 4 definitely, maybe 3 also had this. As you'd go around the dungeon, it would actually reveal those sections on the bottom screen, and if you fully explored the dungeon and got all the tiles or all the sections of it revealed, which you didn't have to do. You didn't have to explore every nook and cranny, but if you did, you would get some bonus items by finishing that map. And I always thought that was a cool thing to do. I would do similar things in like the Persona games when you'd go through those dungeons.
Yep.
Like, you don't have to take all those twists and turns, and often they'll just lead to dead ends. But there was something I was like, I just kind of want to explore every single tile on this dungeon to make sure I find all that stuff. I love mapping things in games. That's a really cool aspect of it for me.
I really wish I had my Steam Deck because I would love to play this that way. I don't. I know it's like an exclusive to Xbox right now. I don't know if that's timed or not. Like this would be great on the Switch. I think it would make a lot of sense there. When I get my Steam Deck, I'm hoping that there's enough game here for me to continue playing there because I think that would be a lot of fun to kick back with this game
on the couch.
Yep, for sure. But I think we'll probably try and record a quick look of this game here soon and put that up on the site or on YouTube. I'm sorry, and get that up there and going. But
our site, youtube.com. You can go to youtube.com, and that's
I mean, what even is a fucking website anymore? But maybe that's one that the three of us can do, Johnny. I think if you got bandwidth to take that on, like maybe the three of us could find time to record a quick look. Otherwise, Chase and I'll knock it out.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, those are the things I've been up to. I know that I mentioned earlier I did beat Horizon, and I'm very happy with that. And we'll go from there. Chat is saying that they maybe have found this old podcast of yours, Chase.
If it's the same World Day podcast I found when I was searching, that one's not mine.
While they're sleuthing about, Johnny, you were out last week on assignment, and you are back at it this week. What have you been up to outside of and thanks for chiming on Tunic. That was a good discussion.
Tunic, I was gonna play some more Donkey Kong 94 on my Analog Pocket, which is a fantastic video game that came out on the Game Boy. But I played Tunic instead of that, so I won't be talking about that. And the only other game, to the surprise of no one, that I've been putting any significant amount of time into is Elden Ring. And
can you give us a quick update on where you're at? I'm
at the end game, so I'm in the second to last area as of last night. I've respec'd my character because I was doing a magic build, and it was just making the game too easy.
God.
And like, to the point where I was like, okay, this isn't very fun for me. I want to have some challenge here. So I ended up switching to a strength dex character, and I've got dual katanas right now, which are a lot of fun because they deal bleed damage.
Nice.
And yeah, like this is my favorite game I played this year. It's my favorite game I played in the last, I don't know how many years. I've been thinking about this game for a really long time. I'm already thinking about future playthroughs. And
when do you think you'll beat it?
I'm hoping the next couple weeks.
Oh, so you're ways off still.
I'm not gonna rush it. Like, I'm still exploring. There's still lots of the world that I just haven't seen yet, and like there's
I'm not saying like that. I'm just saying, like, how close are you to the final boss, would you say?
I think if I mainlined it, I could probably get there pretty soon. And because there's like I said, there's one more area to unlock.
Got it.
Past where I am now. The area I'm at now is one of the only places in the game that you have to beat a boss to get to.
The one up north.
So, yeah. So it's the
big giant
mountaintop of giants. It's snowy.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a snowy area in this game, and it fools you because when you it just, as you progress, the map just goes out and it goes out and it goes out, and it keeps getting bigger in scale. So yeah, we're
gonna check that game out Friday night.
We're gonna play some more of that on Friday. yeah, it's I don't need to bore you guys anymore with how much I love this game.
I think
but
that could be a good segue for you also if you want to go ahead and just.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you don't have to. I mean, I know that we're going to cover something in the news. If you want to talk about it
No,
now,
look,
or if
I will talk at length about this game at the end of the year. I don't need to talk your guys' ears off about it now. Bobby, you and I talk about it all the time outside of the offline with our friend Jason. I have other friends I talk to about it all the time. This is definitely a game I get to talk to at length with people about how much I love. So, having said that, yeah, let's move on to the casual report. And
I've found my podcast.
You
well, not. I mean, I went to the Wayback Machine and put in the website, and I found like titles of podcasts that we did. I mean, you can't listen to them obviously, but I've got like I have like World 8-66 Internet Grows on Trees. That was during the year of Luigi. Here, let's do this. This was February 17th, 2013. It's the year of Luigi according to Nintendo, and Chase couldn't be happier. Here, the crew break down the Nintendo's latest 3DS Focus Direct, as well as what Sony's upcoming conference might be about. And yes, we all think it's the PS4. Game-wise, Chase is in love with Fire Emblem Awakening. What can I say? I'm me.
Chase.
AJ, he was a host, is going back to Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which is very AJ. Brian sneaks in a bit of time with Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on the Vita. That is extremely Brian. And Jordan takes his free-to-play trend to mobile devices with Parallel Kingdom, and I don't know what the hell that is. Yeah, you know, we did some stuff. We did a few things. That's fun. Those episodes, I'm sure, were terrible.
Nothing's ever truly gone from the internet.
Yeah. I wrote a blog post, I believe, on Sonic 4, titled "Sonic 4: The Bad Kind of Deja Vu." Sounds
there it
right.
is.
Yeah. All right.
Nice.
That's enough of that. That's fun.
Oh man.
What's the news? What's the news telling us these days, Johnny?
Elden Ring is the biggest new IP since The Division. And
I thought we were done talking about Elden Ring. You weren't going to talk our ear off anymore.
This is the news. This isn't,
not my news.
This is honestly like astounding. It is
an astounding number.
It is incredible how well this game is doing.
In a short period of time, too.
Yeah, 3 weeks. It has sold 12 million copies, including 1 million in Japan. And considering that the Dark Souls games hadn't even sold 10 million whenever 3 came out, and it took like years for Dark Souls 3 to hit that many copies sold.
Why do you think this is, Johnny? What makes Elden Ring appealing to this wider audience that the Dark Souls games didn't necessarily do?
I think it all has to do with the level of freedom given to the player to determine, their path. And I say that, but 70% of people have beaten Margit, who's the first quote unquote real boss. He is tough. He's like very tough for an early boss. And 60% of people have beaten Godric, who is the first major boss in the game. And those are Steam stats. I think the PS5 is about the same. So it's not just people getting the game and then immediately bouncing off of it. People are progressing and overcoming these steep challenges. And I think a lot of it does yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
It's just about you are given the freedom and the ability to spec your character in a way that does make the game, I don't know if easier is the right word, but it's not as daunting, I guess. Like, when you play Dark Souls 1, if you want to progress, you got to get past the Taurus demon. If you can't get past the Taurus demon, that's it. You can't do anything else. So if you go to Stormveil Castle in Elden Ring and you fight Margit and get your ass kicked, you can get, okay, well, fuck you. I'm going to go dick around in Limgrave and wherever for however many hours and get some new gear, level my character.
I mean, I did that in Dark Souls 2 though. Like I went down one path and went, okay, I don't. This is hard. I don't like this, and then I just decided, well, fuck it, I'll go down this other spoke and go down that way. And I mean, I still didn't like that game, but I gave it a shot.
And also just when you're out in the world, there's always something interesting for you to find. You're finding items, or you're seeing like little tucked away dungeons for you to go and like knock out in 10-15 minutes. I don't know.
But like, is that something that gets somebody to play that game, or is that something that keeps somebody playing that game? Like that, the things you're describing aren't necessarily things that I would say are like big movers.
I have been trying to figure it out myself, and I just
like how many millions would you ascribe to George R. Martin's involvement? Like,
I don't think
does he get you like $1 million or two?
Honestly, y'all, like I think it's this. I think that the age of the internet and streaming is so fucking big right now, and TikTok especially. Like TikTok has so much of this game on it, that I think that there is this aspect that people are just gravitating towards that because it is being, I mean, within the first 24-48, how many concurrent streams were happening on Twitch?
a lot.
I mean, it's insane.
And
like,
it had almost 1 million people playing on Steam concurrently,
dominating those outlets that are getting people involved in it.
Yeah, it had more concurrent players its second weekend than it did its first weekend of release, and it came out on a Thursday evening on Steam. So it's not like
I think that's a big piece
I don't know.
It also, for me, like at the end of the day, and I don't want to keep talking about this, but at the end of the day, I still don't like the fighting in this game. I really don't. And it's not what gets me excited about the game. When I beat something, it's cool, but I would rather just run around in this really fucking neat world, get some cool armor here and there for my character to make him look different and weird. Like the character creation, people are having a blast with that stuff too. But for me, it's a game that doesn't have to be impenetrable anymore. And the other ones were. And this one is like, there's a decent chunk of a video game here that you can play even if you're just fucking god awful at this game. You don't have to get good to get Elden Ring. You don't have to. Now later in the game you do, but it's one of those things too where for years I have not been able to play these games and have to hear about them and their influence on other things. I mean, even tonight we tied fucking Tunic to Dark Souls. And finally, I can play a game like this that is really cool, and that feels really good. That feels really good to say that like I can enjoy something that has absolutely dominated video game at a core level and a fringe level. Like its influences are undeniable on the industry, and it's been one of those things where it's just like fuck. It'll say like on Steam, Souls-like. I'm like, oh, can't play that. Looks cool, but I'm not gonna like that. And now I've been able to enjoy something to a degree where it's like they've found a formula that maintains somehow the core values that these players want, but they've also found a way to say, hey, you idiots that think our games are hard, they're still really hard, but we've made it a lot more fun. And summoning people and just being in that world and like scooting away from the tree sentinel, dumb shit like that, like it's a good time. It's a good time. And I really like this game. Like I would even say like there's aspects of this game I love, but it's one of those things where I'm not going to ever beat this game. I don't think I'll ever beat Elden Ring, and that's okay. Like I feel really good about that, and I'm still having a blast playing it. And I think that that's why I can only speak personally, but that's why I approach this game in a way. I mean, I had influences of Johnny showing me stuff, Jason showing me stuff, so I had that media outlet aspect of like, look at this dumb shit. And then I had the just give it a try. Like you can get away from like, oh yeah, I can get away from that. I don't have to fight that thing. Like the tree sentinel murdered me, but I just went around him and then I played the game differently. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I really do.
Yeah. All right. Guys, we all know what the best Fallout game was. It's Fallout New Vegas, right?
That's correct. That's just correct.
So one Jeff Grubb of GamesBeat and Grub Snacks on GiantBomb.com revealed...
Friend of the show, please. Let's call him what
friend
he
of the
really
show.
is.
He really is. if we were doing the Gamers on the Go podcast, he really would be a friend of the show.
He has been a friend of that show.
So he and I got so excited because I was watching this live whenever he talked about it. He says, "This is very early, but people have begun to have talks and say these words and sentences, and those words are Obsidian and New Vegas 2. And he clarified, we're talking years and years away. There's at least an interest in conversations happening about making something like that actually a reality. And I have had this thought in my brain from the moment Bethesda became a part of Microsoft. I was like, give Fallout to Obsidian.
Yeah.
Let them make another good Fallout game like New Vegas. And like I understand they're very busy. They have Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah, it's like they did that though. We got Fallout New Vegas 2. It's called the Outer Worlds. I mean, it's not. I don't like it that much.
Do you think that they would have to call it New Vegas 2 though? Like, could they just say like, "Hey, Obsidian and Bethesda"?
They could call it whatever. They could call it Fallout : anything.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be New Vegas, right? We just want them to make a Fallout game.
Yeah,
sure.
I think that's the thought. It doesn't have to be in Vegas.
I assume, and there's a quote from CEO Fergus Urquhart saying, if they made it, it would be on the West Coast because they're West Coast guys, and that's what makes sense for them.
And there's story stuff with that. I mean, even if they don't do Vegas, there is the new California Republic. There's plenty of Fallout lore that happens on the West Coast that they could take inspiration from.
For sure. Hey, I'm down.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited by the prospect of Obsidian getting the reins back to the series, but one, it's kind of like cheering for a baseball team where it's like you're cheering a jersey, not necessarily the players. Because I don't know, like who at Obsidian is still there from that team. I'm sure there are plenty of members.
I think that there are a lot of people that have been there for a very long time. Like because that was, I feel like when they were acquired, like Phil Spencer said that specifically. I think about like the talent that was there. It wasn't just buying a name; it was bringing in the people that are part of that team.
Oh, I'm sure, but it's still, you're just not going to get everybody. It's like the same way that BioWare is no longer the BioWare that we remember them, and their output also shows that. But yes, Jeff is super right. If there are any talks going at all, and of course there are going to be talks, like they're all part of the same company now. You guys can have that discussion over at lunch, whenever. But these guys, as Johnny said, are super busy. We have Outer Worlds now. We know there's an Outer Worlds 2 being made that is still an incredibly early
There's
stage.
the fantasy RPG game they're making.
Avowed.
Yeah, Avowed.
They're probably still working on the Grounded. Is that what it's called?
Game's, I can't wait for more of that. It was so fun.
They have plenty to do. What they should do though is get the KOTOR license away from BioWare and say let us make KOTOR again, because that's the real.
You mean the new action RPG KOTOR that's coming?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of excited about that.
Hey,
you could also just go and play original KOTOR, which is also good.
Speaking of EA-owned properties.
Oh.
EA Play has been canceled this year, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Tracks.
Yeah. So there's a quote here. It says, "We live EA Play live as it's their own way of connecting with their players and sharing what's new with all of you. However, this year things aren't lining up to show you everything on one date. We have exciting things happening at our world-class studios, and this year we'll reveal much more about these projects when the time is right for each of them. We look forward to spending time with you throughout the year."
I guess I think it's weird that I guess it makes some sense. I think it's odd though that you say you're canceling EA Play, because they could have an event like this whenever. It just doesn't have to be during E3 time, because also what the hell is E3 time anymore? Because what the hell is E3 anymore?
It's not. It's gone.
Unless they're just calling EA Play that thing we do in July, then I guess that makes sense. But the same way Nintendo Directs don't have to happen during E3, the same way a Sony State of Play doesn't have to happen during E3, you could just call any event that you do EA Play and just put it out there.
Yeah,
I think the phrasing is a little bit weird on this.
I agree. Johnny, thank you. You did a great job getting us to the news.
Hey, thanks.
And I can't believe I'm saying this, but pretty damn close to an actual casual hour. It doesn't happen very often.
Should we fill it with more stuff? I have more college newspaper articles.
We're good.
What do you think of a retro game challenge on the DS?
Don't know, but we're at the credits.
Oh, okay, it was a 5. That game's legitimately great.
As we wrap up our show tonight, I want to say thanks to everybody who stopped by, hung out. Chase, I did really enjoy the memory lane that you took us down. It's interesting
it's fun
to hear what is the same and what is very different with you these days. But we've got some good stuff going on this week, and we want to tell you about it. Johnny had talked to Chase and I offline about, I didn't know that y'all played Ignited Steel, which we did. We broke away from Portal and we checked out Ignited Steel, which is a game that dropped last week, late last week. You got a quick look at that up on our YouTube channel. You can go to the link in chat or just youtube.com/casual hour. It's a cool game. We had a good time with that. We'll be back to Portal next week on Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Going back to Portal. We had a quick look go up for a game called Strange Horticulture, which is a really cool occult puzzle plant sim that was a lot of fun. I've been playing that off and on and having a great time with it. Tonight was going to be a deep dive, but we had a good time breaking down some of those games and hearing about Chase's past. Tomorrow morning, got Far Changing Tides quick look going up on YouTube. That's the sequel follow-up to Far Lone Sail. And it is a
first try.
Professionals here. And then as Johnny talked about, friend of the show Jason will be joining us Friday night for a little Ring King action where we run through Elden Ring, and it sounds like maybe that will be slowing down a little bit. I think Jason's at the boss, you're at the boss, and I don't care to get to the boss at this point, so we'll probably be restructuring some stuff on Friday nights because we've been doing a lot of Elden Ring there.
Yeah, maybe we'll go back to the factory.
Love to go back to the factory. Would absolutely love to go back to the factory. As the one person here on the show who adores that game, I would love to go back to the factory.
I like that game.
So maybe we'll fire the factory up on one of these days, but there is some this Friday there is new Mario Kart DLC. That first wave drops. And I know that Chase is going to be out of town next weekend, but we're going to try and find a time to start to play some of those maps. I think that'll be something fun that we do. And
not this Friday, but the next Friday, isn't that when Kirby comes out? It's like we've got some big stuff starting to come out.
Chat has unlocked your old podcast as we wrap up here. They were able to hear.
That's dangerous. I'm sure it's bad, so enjoy that.
I can't wait.
Or don't. Or don't. Probably won't.
If you want to know about what Chase's other podcast, not that one, not the Casual Hour, and not World 8, and not the Man Eaters, but Gamers on the Go, handheld joint. What can you tell us about that one, Chase?
I haven't put out a new episode for a little bit after a friend of the show, Jiggy-san, and I did our top 25
You put
GBA
up a
games.
doozy of an episode.
It's a 3-hour-long podcast. It's not. The Man Eater would never publish that. You can be.
They wouldn't know they were, but you'd show up and be like, "Here's your 5 minutes, motherfuckers."
They wouldn't know what hit them. Yeah, that was a lot of fun making that. You can go to gamersonthego.com and see my personal top 25 list, which doesn't have as many rules as our combined Gamers on the Go one did. Yeah, that's fun. I'm still looking for new episodes. Johnny and I have those analog pockets now. The handheld gaming is bigger than ever. A Steam Deck's out, so technically everything's a fucking handheld game now. Everything's eligible. So who knows? I'm sure there will be a new episode here sometime. In the meantime, though, you can go to my YouTube channel at ChaseKPlays on Twitter, or just ChaseKPlays if you want to look that up on YouTube. And right now, Johnny and I are still in the middle of our Pokemon Shining Pearl Nuzlocke, and that's been going okay. We've lost a couple Pokemon, but we're doing just fine. I think we're ready to take on the 7th gym leader, and we'll be recording a new episode of that here relatively soon, and hopefully getting done with that game. Not that I'm not enjoying it, but I would also like to move on and play the next game, whatever that may be, on that channel. So it's been fun, and you can see more of our runs there.
Nice. So this has been a great time. Like we said, we'll be back live right here on Twitch Friday night at 10:30 p.m. with Elden Ring and friend of the show, Jason. Next week, we got some more stuff coming. If you want to follow along, like we do post our schedule every Monday on social, which is at the Casual Hour, so you can check it out there. And if you... Oh, I'll say this really quick too. For our podcast, if you happen to use Spotify for your podcast, we have the ability now to upload this video there, so you can bounce back and forth. So if you are actively looking at your device, you can watch this stream on Spotify, or you can just listen to the episode there. So that's a new thing that we get to do, but we're on every platform for podcasts, so tell some friends about that.
We promise less misinformation than watching the Joe Rogan Experience. So that's the Casual Hour guarantee.
Can we make that promise?
I can, yeah.
We can, well, yeah. I mean, in comparison to him, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, Johnny, everything you say on this podcast could be a lie, and we'd still be cruising and be just fine.
Right.
It's true. Hey guys, it was great chatting with you tonight. Thanks for everything, and we'll be back Friday night with more Casual Hour content.
See ya.
Take care.